I'm Laura, I'm 35 and I have complex trauma and dissociative identity. I've been accessing therapy for about 3.5 years, and so far I've been having 3 private counselors. What has not helped me in therapy, I think, which was worst, was the approach of CBT. That didn't work for me at all. Especially with my first counselor, I tried this in the beginning, but very soon I noticed that this didn't help me because it basically just recreated my trauma of childhood emotional neglect and abuse. Because I feel like it's just about controlling emotions and not asking where they come from or really trying to heal and help the person, but it feels like a very capitalist approach, to be honest, where it's just about you functioning and not caring why you're having these emotions, or giving compassion and understanding to them and giving them actually room. So this was just triggering for me, and it made me very angry, and it didn't work. So I've given it up pretty early on. All of my counselors were working in an integrative and humanist way, which has really helped me. It wouldn't work for me to, stick too closely to just one approach. I think it's best in general to take something from every approach depending on what helps the client, because the client really should be in the center and should be about what works for them. And everyone's different, everyone's an individual, everyone has their own story and their own trauma and their own individual way of how they have survived, so different things will work for them. So I think that's really important when working with trauma, and also especially for developmental trauma, the relationship between the counselor and the client should be in the forefront too. It's really what either creates a healing relationship or not. It's about if the two people click together. And of course, then that needs to be really trust, and it takes a long time for people with complex trauma to gain that trust. So it makes the most sense for developmental trauma that, since the trauma happened in a relationship, in this parent-child relationship, it can only heal through a relationship, through a corrective experience. And what has worked the best for me by far is working with my parts. So I found again and again, giving space to my parts, me listening to them and my counselor listening to them, how they feel, having a conversation with them is the single most important and has been the most transformative experience for me in counseling. I've learned so much about myself, and I think that's really what counseling should be in any case. It's about learning about yourself, getting to know yourself, and connecting with yourself. So this is really the most important thing for me, and I think even if you don't have a dissociative identity, everyone would benefit from this parts approach, because everyone has different sides, different emotions, different roles that we take on in our life. We are different when we are with our family, when we are with friends, when we are with co-workers. We all have a protective side. We all have a side that comes out when we feel safe and when we are having fun. We all have a side that comes out when we feel scared or angry or overwhelmed. We all have an inner child, we all have vulnerable sides, so this is just a general, universal human approach, I think, that everyone would benefit from. So yeah, I think this whole system of psychiatry that we have at the moment, where, you know, trauma is called a disorder, dissociative identity is called a disorder, all kinds of mental health issues are called a disorder, when in reality it's a completely normal and natural reaction to trauma. It's a reaction to what has happened to you, and you know, what has been done to you or what has happened to you. That's what's disordered and sick, not how we react to it. So it's really upside down, and I think this really needs to change, because it makes people feel like there's something wrong with me. Well, no, there's nothing wrong with you. There's everything right with you. And, you know, particularly people who have childhood trauma, who have complex trauma, they already usually have this inferiority complex, and they feel like there's something wrong with them because that's how their parents treated them. So we really need to gain this confidence and self-compassion and self-love, because we grow through love. Our brains, when we are a child, our brains develop when we receive love. That's a fact. That's how humans work. So that's what we need. If we didn't get that in childhood, that's what we need to get in therapy. So it really is, I think, the job of the counselor to create this condition where the client feels safe and loved, so they can grow and go through this development which they weren't able to go through as a child. So that would be my message to aspiring counselors and to counselors who are already working in the field. So I think there needs to be an awareness of all of the needs that these clients bring to the table, and I think it's really important that there is a dialogue between service users and professionals. But professionals should be listening to the service users and the clients, and ask them how should we work. They should be listening to them and not the other way around. So this is my message to you, and I hope it's helpful. Thanks.